God, it shows that even though that's prideful, it shows that the person sees the value of their worth that God made them, that they could be this great, incredible thing. Right? Even in this case, it's kind of like, like I said, I thought I was Antichrist for a while too before I was Christian, right? Into the occult and the rest of it. But it's like an incredible vain thing to think, like that you're this important person.
I can't recall what they
But on the
do.
other hand, your salvation is that important to God. A lot of people don't catch that, right? That that they're that important to God, just them. Because they're so broken, they think, well, why would he want me? I am nobody as nobody. And that's just, that's human thinking, to be honest. That's the way we think. He doesn't think that way. He takes all sorts of figures that we know of, and we, generally remember the good stuff about. But when he takes them, or, like, they're not that way. Very few figures are like golden all the way through their lives in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
David's like almost better when he was younger, you might say, than when he's older and has kids and is king. That's a lot of his troubles.
Saul had problems too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's weird because a lot of people,
Their
fantasy life might be very vain, they don't think God treats them as important as their fantasy life.
It was Saul that asked for wisdom. Was that him?
That's Solomon.
Solomon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way it works is right around like Samuel's. He was like a prophet, but he's also like kind of like the guy. Like he's kind of acknowledged as kind of like the spiritual leader. Hard to put it in context in modern times, right?
High priest.
But at the actually, I don't even think he's the high priest. That's someone else, right?
Oh, okay. So he's
is he the high priest at the?
He could be the wild guy.
Because I think the ark is still in the wilderness. But anyway, around Samuel's time, right? Probably butchering bits and pieces, right?
As we all do.
Not meaning to, but like trying to remember, right?
Even
but
poor Moses had problems, man.
They asked for like a king, right? Rather than have this kind of situation where like.
Oh, this is post Judges.
This is, post Judges. Okay. So he's kind of like a judge and prophet and kind of guy all at the same time, right? But the people don't want it. Everyone's accountable to the law, for instance, so it's not a bad system. Whereas other places only the people have to follow laws. Kings and queens can do whatever they want, right? But they ask for a king anyway. So, as it turns out, they get a king. There's a lot of there's discourse between Samuel and God about this, right? But they get a king, right? And the first king is King Saul, right? And it's weird because he is made king by God through Samuel with many signs and wonders. Like he's a prophet for a while. He only finds Samuel because he's looking for his father's donkeys, and Samuel's looking for the guy that God says, I want you to anoint this person to be the next king. He doesn't even know who it is. So when King Saul comes, right, his assistant's like, there's a prophet in the town, Samuel's there, his assistant says, right?
Found a loose end for 2 seconds there, if I might cut in.
Sure.
That's very similar to when Paul had to wander blind, and he had to go meet somebody to unblind him. And the names are very identical.
Yeah, because he's Saul, and then he becomes Paul.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, in Saul's case, he's kind of blind, right? He doesn't know. But his assistant's like, well, you could ask the prophet. And in their case, they called them seers back then. You could ask the seer. And young Saul is like, I don't even have anything to give him. Right? So they're thinking about, if you're going to ask him a question, to help.
No, don't be rude, show up.
Yeah, But when they meet King Saul, right, or he's just Saul. But Samuel knows, he gets told, this is the guy. Right? And he has this problem with obedience. Right? Being obedient to what God commands. Right? Somewhat through the prophet, like the prophet would tell him, this is you must do this in this way.
Yeah, but eventually it's like, how long are you going to seek counsel before you're a nuisance? You have the material.
It's weird because Saul is, is he all that bad? The rest of it, but it's the obedience thing that gets him, right? So while he's still alive, Samuel's commanded to anoint he's not even a full man, but little David to be king. Right, so it's like, I'm going to take the power of king away from you, and this power of king is going to another one, right? And it's because you betrayed me. That your line will not be the king, right? And so it's quite loaded.
Very human.
By the way, too, the anointing thing is the same.
These are just people, ultimately.
Yeah, they're...
Right? Like...
Yeah, we are beset.
I think it's
You
that
know?
our our defects are the ones that we want to work on the most to become virtuous or something. That'd be wise. Like we're not who we're meant to be just yet.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You're only
Yeah, I think there's an innate knowing that we can be, like Jesus is be perfect, and there's like an
show excellence at least.
well, there's kind. I think there's an interior kind of like that's impossible.
Oh wait,
for
he
you
does say be
response,
perfect. Like
right? But there's another part of us that's like, yeah, as in like, yeah, that's the way to live.
yeah.
You know, like we kind of, and you kind of know it's impossible, but he reminds you that no, it's possible. Stop thinking like humans, right? Like it's really, there's so many segments where the human wisdom, like at the scene where Jesus asked them, who did they say I am, right? And they list off a few people. Notice they're all dead. They all think he's a risen dead prophet. The people they suggest, like Elijah or one of the other prophets.
That would be inconsistent of the Messiah too. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, the Messiah thing hadn't been clarified that much, but I
True.
mean, notice that they thought he wasn't, that he must be an old-fashioned prophet.
Or a super person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he's like, who do you say I am? Right? And Peter confesses, right? He says, well, you only got this from my Father. This is something that we communicate
Let's
between ourselves,
Bar
right?
Jonah.
But remember, right after that, within minutes of declaring him Peter, giving him a name, giving him a position,
Yeah.
within like a few conversational minutes, he then tells them that he's going to go to Jerusalem, get betrayed, and get crucified, right? And Peter, remember, Peter takes him aside, like just pulls him
More
aside
revealing.
from the group a little bit for a little, like, no, this cannot happen to you. And what does he say?
Get behind me, Satan.
Yeah, he calls the guy he just named Peter. He calls Satan
Well,
within
who are
5
you?
minutes
Yeah,
of
it's like,
conversation.
Who are you?
Yeah,
Now.
get behind me, Satan, because you don't believe in.
Yeah.
You're thinking of me as an earthly king. You think this position is only earthly, that my death has no meaning. Oh, a whole bunch of stuff is in there.
I guess that'd be
Right.
subjugated to all kinds of sin, actually.
But notice, I mean, like, he's, like, it's too much for the human mind to take in. It's not like he really,
Well-
it's not like he, like, banishes from the group, takes away the power of Peter.
Even the faithful
You know what
too.
I mean? He
it's
just rebukes them.
even the faithful too. Like,
Right.
explain the Eucharist to me in less than 10 minutes right now.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, right? Yeah. Right. There's a lot going on. Like, it's hard to take in our faith. Are you?
You betcha.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, cool.
It's
cool.
a channel.
It's a channel? Hey, these things need to be brought up.
They
You know
do.
what I mean?
Well,
Often overlooked nowadays.
We're gonna dig right in.